Hey folks, and welcome to a new video here on the Daniel Life. Today we're talking about the new Canon RF 50mm 1.4L VCM. Once again, a fixed focal length from Canon, and you can say finally there is a 1.4 version again. Priced just under 1600 euros in March 25. You can find out what it can do and for what I use it in this video. It's worth sticking with it because at the end I'll tell you how you can get a discount. The RF 50mm does not differ optically from the 24mm and the 35mm 1.4L VCM. At 580 grams, it is the heaviest of all three fixed focal lengths, but the cheapest, and therefore almost 400 grams lighter than the 1.2L version. We finally have a 67mm filter diameter and not 77mm as with the 1.2 version. You will find a large focus ring under the RF ring. A switch for the manual focus and autofocus can be found on the side. The lens is also protected against dust and splash water. Then we also have an RF ring. I think this is really good, by the way. You can use the Canon menu to decide what function this ring should have. I use this ring to change the focus field with one turn. You can also set the aperture, ISO, shutter speed or white balance on this ring, for example. There's a new button on the side. Unfortunately, you won't find it on old RF lenses, but you will find it on all new RF lenses, at least on the L series. I have placed the tracking on this button, for example. If I press this button in video mode, a focus field will open and the camera starts tracking an object. In photo mode, I use it to change what I want to track, for example, a vehicle, animal, people or nothing. If you also take blurry photos, then it's usually not due to the lens or the camera, but to your settings. Even the old EF lenses were usually super sharp. But if you're trying to take a picture of a soccer player with a tenth of a second shutter speed, there's something wrong with your settings. I don't know any RF lens that is out of focus. The right mix of aperture, ISO and shutter speed will get you there. If you have any problems with this, you can watch my free tutorial here on YouTube, Learning Photography for Beginners. Where you set your focus point, you will get a sharp photo. This is also the case with movement. If you're shooting a person who is moving, you should always shoot in AF servo. If you want to shoot something static, such as a house, it is best to use one shot. For better results, you should always select the right focus area. For a flower, for example, I would only use a 1-point AF. For a person, a square focus area, or a vertical one if the person is moving towards my camera. Flaring can be very pronounced. The lens hood supplied helps you to keep these as low as possible. Depending on the angle, the lens flare may be more or less pronounced, but see for yourself. One reason why I got rid of my RF 50mm 1.2L was the weight. The performance was great. I could take such beautiful photos in low light, but on the whole I didn't take it with me enough due to its thickness and weight. A few years later the world looks completely different because we finally have a compact 50mm with a 1.4 aperture again. For me, this is the best combination for portraits. They are really impressive, whether it's in the studio or on the street. You are guaranteed to get sharp photos with a supernatural image detail. No lines that fall into the background, ideal for details, fashion and street. Because I was just on the street, let's stick with this. I was in London for you, would you believe it? Just for you. I walked through the entire city, had this beautiful 50mm with me and took these shots. Super nice focal lengths because you can capture people on the street very well. You're not too close, but you're not too far either. And for photos under natural light, a great focal length. Then we had a food shooting. Here too, the real strengths of this lens come to the fore. It is a pity that the closest focusing distance has not been reduced to 30 centimeters. This is still 40 centimeters as with the RF 50mm 1.2L. Still super nice for details like food. So if you're a blogger and you want to offer your viewers or customers something more than your iPhone photos, why not give the 50mm a try? Last but not least, before I get to my discount campaign, the bokeh. Of course, what should it look like with 11 aperture blades? Awesome, super nice for photos and videos, perfect for cropping, whether in nature, for details, events, portraits or low light. If you have tasted blood, feel free to send me an email. I will forward you directly to my trusted photo dealer. By the way, you can find them all over Germany if you want to test this lens on the site and take it with you. Or DHL or UPS will bring it directly to your home. My conclusion about the 50mm 1.4L VCM. I bought this lens on New Year's Eve 24. On that day I had an event that almost paid off the lens, and thanks to the great price I unfortunately couldn't resist. A few months later I don't regret the purchase for a second. I like to have this lens with me when I go out on the street with my Canon EOS R5 Mark II. Whether for a job or just for a walk, whether it's day or night, with a 1.4 aperture, you have a certain amount of freedom. During the day you can crop everything, and at night I don't have to use an ISO of 25,600. I like to use it to take photos at events, and recently I've been using it on my DJI Ronin RS4. Look how nice and simple this perspective looks, just like a movie, for all kinds of shots such as food portraits or even for YouTube videos to capture details. If you'd like this video, make sure to subscribe, thumbs up, and see you next time.